Just wanted to make a quick little edit before we get into the podcast. We were talking about the Hundley Foundation in this episode, and somehow we got confused with Tyler Huntley of the Baltimore Ravens, and we actually meant Brett Hundley of the Indianapolis Colts, who is behind the Hundley Foundation based on his sister and all of that stuff. So just a quick edit since I can't go back in and edit it out since it corrupts the file for some reason. But yeah, leading on to the episode now. Thanks for listening.
All right, Bree and I are back, and we are going to be talking about all of the societal issues that just keep epilepsy stigmatized and in the dark. And this is happening because of some recent events between Bree and I don't know how to put this, singer who has
Is he still a singer though? I thought he was
a
anyway.
rough past.
Yeah, we know. We'll put his name out there. He loves the attention. Chris Brown and I are best friends now. Let's put it that way. And that didn't go quietly over. Let's just say that.
No. And I'm
No.
glad it didn't, because people need to know. So if you want to tell the story about that.
Okay, so basically people were sending me DMs about this TikTok challenge that was to a Chris Brown song. Again, didn't know he was still around, my bad. And I reposted it because I have the platform to do so. And I was like, this isn't cool. Why would you blah, blah, blah? Why would you, repost this, make fun of it? Why is this funny? All the stuff. As somebody that is part of a minority themselves, you'd think that they would be like, oh, this isn't okay. So
You weren't
instead
rude about it either. You were just like, why?
No, I wasn't mad about it. I was just kind of like, this isn't funny. This is really like, I don't use TikTok for this reason, because TikTok is we'll get to that in a minute, but they like to pretend to have seizures on there, so I just stay away from it. And I was just kind of like, well, this isn't cool. And I tagged him mostly so people could report it, so they could figure out where he was. Little did I know Chris Brown had so much time on his hands, being, an arena selling out celebrity supposedly, that he would respond to me. Like, okay. And he didn't just respond like, why are you tagging me in this? I had nothing to do with this, blah, blah,
It would have
blah.
been easy to just do a simple, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
Exactly. And he's someone that supposedly had a seizure in his life. Well, supposedly, I don't believe anything that comes out of that man's mouth, so who knows. But and he was called me a bitch, called me a weird bitch, said I was putting him with my hate agenda and all this stuff, because he needs more, check marks against his personality and him as a person. So that was all my fault. But then he said, he said he was going to bring a strobe light to my house, which, I'm not photosensitive. So please bring me a rave so I can listen to my music. I don't care. And then just the fact that he said that instead of being a human about it is what really sent this into a tizzy and a downward spiral in the epilepsy community. And some people are like, oh, it's being dramatic. It's really not, though, because if Lizzo and Beyonce had to rewrite a song to remove the term spaz for the cerebral palsy community, why am I asking too much? I didn't ask him to alter his career. I didn't tell him to stop strobe lights if he still tours on his concerts, like nothing like that. But he's being an ass about it. And I think that's even a gentle term for what he was.
And I think the biggest issue, besides, faking to have a seizure, which isn't cool. And Allie, who we've done a podcast before, brought this up as an issue, is like people are going to see people having seizures and think it's like they're doing it for attention and not recognize that it is a medical emergency. People are more likely to, take a video of it than they are to stop and actually help.
Or the gram now instead of calling 911, or 999, wherever you're listening to this from. But it's like one of those things where seizures are very violent and dramatic looking like that. Sometimes they don't
I screamed.
You screamed. I lose my bladder. I've punched an EMT in the face. It's one of those things that people are going to be like, are you joking or are you quote unquote dancing? Which
like my high school English teacher asked me if I was, when I was having an absence seizure during writing an essay, and I emailed him to say, hey, I think I had a seizure. Can I read over it to make sure it makes sense before you grade it? And his response, again, why we do this, was, I can't tell if you're joking and trying to be funny or if you actually have a medical condition that would cause you to have a seizure.
But you can't, misgender somebody or, pretend to get a role in a movie or something if you're a different race nowadays. But we're doing this right now. Like, this is okay for some reason. Epilepsy does not fall under that bubble of protection that other minorities and disabilities get. And I don't know what the heck we did wrong to do that. Because personally, I didn't do anything.
And it seems like society, like, not all of society, obviously, but parts of society and mainstream, like, people don't even know what epilepsy is. Like, you have Nicki Minaj, who put out a song and it had to a team of people where she says, I forget exactly, it's like, they sleeping on me,
sleeping on me like they got narcolepsy or something like that.
Bitches got epilepsy. And if you just fall asleep, you have narcolepsy. Like, she confused the two. And it's, when did we, like, I like my sleep, but how did it get to a point where epilepsy and narcolepsy are confused?
I don't know. I mean, for my fellow narcoleptic people out there, I'm sure we're not too different, but at the same time, it's like, if you're going to call us out in a song, do it correctly, and see, I couldn't even respond or like reiterate it without messing it up because it's so inaccurate. I was just like, oh, like narcolepsy.
I wonder how it went through like a team of people who read it and then produce it and then market it and then put it out without anybody being like, hey, this is
fact checked. Where are all those fact checks people from Facebook? Where are they at though? Like, I'm just wondering for them. And it's like, ugh. I'm not even upset about it. You and I make memes all the time about my epilepsy. That's one of the ways I have, and this is going to be a dark statement, have not killed myself over what I live with, is making fun of it. And there's a difference between lightheartedly making fun of it and mocking somebody with a disability.
Well, lightheartedly making fun of it to get through it. Like, I joke with my close friends and family about it all the time. I'll laugh about, like, guess what I did during the seizure, because it's ridiculous.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to sit there and mock somebody else's seizure because haha.
I make fun of like this, like the things that, it's like, oh, the generic things that we go through. They get it. I get it. We get it. Not the one where it's like, oh, I'm going to start shaking and pretend I have a seizure to make fun of it. Put emojis in the caption, do reaction videos to people talking about them thinking that this man was having a seizure, and then deny that that's what they were talking about in general. Like, if you're going to do it, have the balls to back it up. I'm sorry.
And I remember reading through your comments, and somebody even said, like, if you go onto that guy's TikTok, the dancer's TikTok,
C Nova or something,
one C Nova, something like that.
I don't know. Yeah. See how important he is.
He's pointed, or they pointed out in their comments, that there's not even a way to correctly report that video.
Right. You can report eating disorders, you can report like cutting, you can report other things. Seizures and epilepsy is not an option though.
Or even just like making fun of a disability in general. It doesn't even have to be seizures. Like, there are
exactly, it's nothing. But for some reason, this is the trend on TikTok and social media right now. Like, hashtag fake seizures are funny is one of the things trending right now. And it's not a big trend, and I hope this doesn't give it any wind, but it's like, why is that okay? Do you see racism is funny anywhere? Do you see people in a wheelchair is funny anywhere? This person had a heart attack is hilarious. Like, what did epilepsy do? And I know we have stigmas from, overdoses and back in the day when they thought we were possessed and stuff, but we have Google now. Yeah. So where is this excuse? I don't get it. It is willfully ignorant. And in 2022, I see no excuse to be willfully ignorant, especially when we're not even allowed to be. So I don't get it. And what is it going to take for someone to take this seriously and not make fun of it? And again,
and I know you've said this, but if a prominent child star passes away due to epilepsy, and you have the internet for like a week is like, oh, this, I'm sorry for Cameron's
and on his birthday and on his death anniversary is when they come together.
It becomes a thing, like, take seizures seriously, and then every other day of the year it's like free for all. Oh, that's funny.
oh, are you shaking or is it the ground shaking? It's like, okay, I get it. I can take a joke. I'm Jewish. I have dealt with it since I was a child. I don't care. The best thing I've done is make fun of myself so nobody can say it even more. But to have somebody mock this that people die from and then it's call us sensitive. Of course, I'm going to be sensitive about something that I didn't ask for. It's not like I got it tattooed on me or something like that.
Right.
It's I woke up one day and I was like, oh, I'm epileptic now for the rest of my life. And I didn't do drugs. I didn't hit my head on anything,
My
nothing.
jeans got messed up.
There you go. And not the ones you're wearing, the ones in your
Right.
body. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I don't know what people want or what it's going to take, because this is not an uncommon diagnosis. There's plus at least 65 million of us on this planet, 3.4 million people in the United States. Like I can keep listing
More
diagnoses,
people
like
die from
statistics.
SUDEP every year than from SIDS.
Mm-hmm.
More people die from seizures every year than from breast cancer. Like we can just keep going. And we have, the entire month of October. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, breast cancer awareness, because obviously that's something very serious. But November is Epilepsy Awareness Month, and it's shoved under the rug by everybody except
Almost
those in the
everybody else.
community.
Exactly. And it's like, I mean, the NFL does this cool little thing where it's my cause, my cleats, but you got to stare at this man's, feet while he's running down the field to be like, oh, that's an epilepsy cleat.
And
You
if
know,
they happen to post a picture, like
yeah.
3 people share it.
And
It's
don't
not.
get me wrong, guys, I very much appreciate you picking epilepsy when you could pick any other cause, but it's like, we don't know, unless
Yeah.
we look for it. And we do look for it because it's not out there. And I just don't know how something is so stigmatized, but so made fun of at the same time, but it's so common also at the same time. Like it's a weird triangle we live in where it's
And
like, they don't want
like
to
you
learn, but they
mentioned
want to
how
make fun
they
of it.
have, you can't do certain things. I've been saying this for a while on like TikTok, Instagram. You can report like, somebody for saying they like something. Like you can just be like, I like this, I don't like it, so I'm going to report you, and their page, is down. Who they follow politically, like they'll watch that and stuff. But
Oh yeah.
you have like these flashing people sending, we've dealt with this, flashing lights gifts telling us to die and they're going to kill us. That goes, oh, they didn't do anything wrong. Then you have like flashing lights filters that don't even have a warning before you start using them.
But
That,
you have to block out words like rape and Hitler. And it's like, I understand they are offensive. Like I said, I'm Jewish, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So you blocking it out just gives people more of an excuse to not take it seriously. And there's only so much we can do as an advocacy community and like as a disabled community, because we don't have the money to advertise it. And it's like all these people that make fun of it or like are famous and mention it, nothing happens.
if
And
the only
it's,
way epilepsy is like, oh yeah, so and so did a video mocking a seizure, if that's the only way that about epilepsy, and honestly that's the only way I really knew about epilepsy until my diagnosis, was
yeah,
the Simpsons faking seizures in one of their openers.
that
I
show
could
always
go,
was boring to me, honestly.
I could go on and on and on about just
Yeah.
the
Yeah, it's
ways
like you have
seizures are
like the
portrayed.
stereotypes are so out there, but it's like at the same time, I'm supposed to know all these different pronouns and genders and sexualities, but no one's going to give me the respect to even know what a seizure is and what not to do to make fun of it or anything like that. It's dividing minorities instead of putting people together. You're starting to compare yourself to somebody else. Oh, well, why does someone in a wheelchair get more respect than like we do, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but it's like, where did we go wrong? Is it because it's not physically,
Because you
visible?
can't see it unless they're having a tonic-clonic seizure.
And then when they have it, they book it and they're terrified. So which way do you want it? And back to the Chris Brown thing, this man supposedly had a seizure because nobody loved him. And being someone that's had epilepsy for 15 years, that is a very rare symptom, to the point where it only might be relevant to him. And
Is
I'm
it
sorry.
that or like stress? There were, when I looked it up, like I don't understand how you can have a seizure, know what that feels like, and then go on to make fun of it.
Go on to make fun of it. And I don't even expect an apology from this man at this point, because that might be a little too above his maturity level, be honest. You know, we know how he's been with Rihanna, and he can get mad that I'm dragging him through the mud. I'm not saying anything wrong. I'm not lying. We know this. This is all fact. But, you know, here he's just gonna, you know, come at me with strobe light or something like that next time. But it's like, what do you want? Like, if you are in the public eye, I understand not everybody is a saint. Okay, I know some people like to be in the public eye for being notoriously bad. I don't know, but it's like, if you expect people to take you seriously and like feel bad for you because you supposedly were the victim multiple times, it's like, you can't play this game. And to me, it does not work for me. I'm like, I'm sorry, you don't get to play the, you can't call me this, but I'm going to make fun of your disability because, you know what, it's funny. And it's like, it just like, I'm sick of this rules for thee, but not for me. Like, I'm really over it. And it's like, for some reason, epilepsy has just not reached that level of respect in society for some reason, even though it's been around since biblical times, maybe before. You know, I just, what is getting it so wrong? You know, they're more accepting, sorry, of, you know, addiction problems, which it is a mental disorder, you know, but it's like, is that why they're stigmatizing epilepsy? You know, it's like, are you judging the people that have addiction problems actually, but not the people that have seizures? Like, I don't understand this disconnect here. You know, it's confusing to me. And it's like, I get so many messages on my account every month or week or whatever about children that are dying, have died, are suffering, cannot speak, will never be able to live their life because of this diagnosis. And then we have adults that are thinking it's funny to call it a dance and make fun of it on social media for the likes and the, you know, the clout that they want right there. Like,
We actually were talking to someone who passed away from a seizure like recently, and that hits home, you know. Like, I remember when we first met, because people sent us the strobe lights and I broke down crying because I was thinking, if I were photosensitive, who knows
yeah,
what could
and
have happened.
it's a constant thing. Like, and all that we can do is put out a warning and say, do not open your DMs, because social media does not have our back on this one. They don't do anything for us. They're just like, well, you know what, whatever, just block them. Okay, well, that's fine, because I'm not photosensitive, so I can stare at a strobe light all day long and nothing will happen to me. But you send it to some little kid and you can kill him, you know, or someone that's photosensitive, you can kill him. But that's not an issue. But, you know, if I say I don't agree with your political views, there goes my account. You know, I don't understand who or what is running social media, because whatever it is or whoever it is needs to wake the F up, because this is not it. Like, you don't get to sit there and be like, oh, you know what, I don't like the color shirt you're wearing today, but oh yeah, you go ahead and make fun of epileptic people. That's fine. And what else, like I said, what else can we do? The foundations are looking into it. For those that are wondering what the update is on that, the UK foundation has laws against this. Like, I mean, they do in the UK in general, like targeting people with social media. America, wake up. But it's like, what can be done? Because that man has eluded, you know, rape allegations, robbery charges, abuse, you know, like, what's going to get done? He doesn't care. His followers don't care. They think it's a joke.
What I find crazy too about him responding to you is, like, normally when you are such a big, you know, celebrity, you have management who handles all of your social media. Like, I don't think I've ever seen somebody that, you know, well known around the world ever just respond to a DM.
Or like that, and we all knew
he didn't even respond to a DM. He came at you.
Yeah, and people are like, you messaged him first. Like, I didn't say anything to him, because like you said,
you tagged him in a post.
I did not expect him to answer, because I'm like, he's got 118 million followers supposedly.
He follows 3 people. Like,
yeah, I'm like, why did I make it to the top of his list? And I wasn't the only person that tagged him in it. Multiple people tagged him in it. Multiple people sent him DMs. Multiple people. I was the only one he decided to respond to. I have no idea what the heck I did, but you know what? Good for me, because I would fight that man verbally in person too, so it doesn't matter. But I don't know what it is. And as soon as I responded, he sent me a crying face and blocked me on all my accounts, because I think I finally got through to him. And like, it was going somewhere, obviously, with all the traction, or he wouldn't have responded.
People
Like,
must have been saying things about it, because somebody with that kind of presence wouldn't just randomly reach out to someone with, 10,000. If they have 119 million, they're not going to reach out to someone with 10,000 followers that they don't even know, unless it obviously did
it's
something.
like I said, I can't even think of a freaking song that man sang at this point. I was like, what?
The only reason I can think of one is because I saw in the headlines, Jordan Sparks' No Air is what came to mind, because apparently they reunited and did it. And then all I could think of was the irony of a song called No Air, and him making fun of things that people can choke on. You can choke during a
how we
seizure.
did that?
Not on your tongue. Don't stick anything in anyone's mouth. You can't choke on your tongue, but you can choke on spit and or vomit, which is why you turn someone on their side.
Exactly.
Little,
and it's like,
little lesson there.
they're gonna, little fun facts for the intelligent people that are listening. It's just, I don't even know what to do about it, because he blocked me on everything. I personally
Any
don't
followers who have any ideas, comments sections, please drop them below, because
I've done everything I can, and I've given everybody, permission to reshare it and take it to whomever they can and want to, news wise. I mean, if I know a video or a song beyond 2008, I'm shocked. So I don't know any of these people. They're like, send it to this. I'm like, what's that? I'm like, I don't know.
And as you said,
I think we're having an issue too, because he's not that relevant. So if it was like Beyonce that did it, it might be a big deal, but it's like, Chris Brown, who? Like that's what everyone's saying. They're like, who? What's that? Who's Chris Brown? Like, he's alive? I'm like, maybe this is what he needed to bolster his career for the year. I don't know, but it's like, I really wish society would somehow just be like, oh yeah, that's not okay. And sorry, we'll consider not doing that next time, instead of, oh, well, you're sensitive, you're a Karen, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm really not that sensitive though. But this is pushing.
I know you are not.
No, it's like, it takes like your sister said, of all the people to get into my DMs, like, good luck. I'm like, anyway, but it's just one of those things that's like, I'm not that sensitive. This is just rude though. Like, would you make fun of somebody in a wheelchair? Would you make somebody in the iron lung? Would you laugh at an autistic person? You know what I mean? It's like, how.
And when you look at the statistics, 1 in 26 people will be diagnosed with epilepsy. 1 in 10 will have a seizure. If you know 100 people, 10 people who will have a seizure. Are you going to sit there and laugh at those people that you are close with when they have a seizure and be like, that looks like the dance Chris Brown shared?
And or if you do, please check yourself into a mental asylum right now, because you are an effed up person. Like, you are like scum if you just think like laughing at people's struggles. And that's what makes me irritated, as someone who claims to be oppressed, has gone through so much, nobody loves them, blah, 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 blah. All BS, by the way. You're gonna make fun of people's struggles, that they can't control, that they can't cure, as somebody with millions of dollars, supposedly, if you didn't blow it on something to go up your nose, you'd think you could have something to do with your time and be an advocate or be a positive voice.
And when you say that, I think of, as a Ravens fan, we drafted Tyler Huntley as one of our QBs. He has the Huntley Foundation to help. I think it's his.
Isn't it Brett Huntley?
I think it's Tyler Huntley. Let me double check.
I think it's Brett. I think Tyler's the other guy, but it's okay. I'm like, I'm sorry with our epilepsy brains, but either way,
Tyler Huntley has the Huntley Foundation.
Okay, is it Tyler?
Mm-hmm. And that helps kids with.
Okay, so that is this whole time, but it's like one of those things where I am just so over. We get no representation. If we have an athlete in there, he gets crap for like, why is he even playing with epilepsy? Like, do you know how many people have like, or they're like, oh, I'm just gonna bring a strobe light. to whatchamacallit, to do all this. I'm like, what in the world is going on? You know, I'm like, I don't understand what we need or who we need in order to, make this serious. Like, how many more people need to die?
And that's where we need Miles, if you're listening with your movie. I saw you have like a final script.
I saw that.
Getting a little anxious for this. I know that movies take time, but like, as he said, movies are a way to show people things, put them in somebody else's point.
And on that note, like, famous people are what people want to see, so what Chris Brown did is a bunch of crap, because even though he's not supposed to have fans, he does have them, and they do see that stuff. So they're going to see it and be like, oh, I'm going to make one to get Chris Brown's attention. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And it's not funny. It's like, what if we were to fake a stroke, a heart attack, a shooting, it's not funny. People have gone through this stuff and they're suffering, and people are grieving their lost loved ones every single freaking day because of epilepsy. And then there's these clowns on the internet who think it's funny. And it's like, and they can sit there and say, we're not making fun of seizures. We're not. Okay. Read the caption. It's like, you may be illiterate, but I'm not. Like, I know.
And for people who haven't seen the dance, let me look it up, because it says it's spelled completely incorrectly. I don't know
It's like
if this person did not speak English. But I want to just double check and make sure that I have this correct for what he actually said. So the person who made the video responded, because I threw TikTok, to a comment that said, my boy had a seizure on this one, laughing.
Yeah.
Like two laughing.
I thought he needed help. I thought my boy needed help. Like, there's tons of them, and they're sitting there saying, oh, nobody's making fun of his seizures. Are you sure though? Like, honestly, are you sure? Because it really looks like one to me, like, not a good one, but you know what I mean? Like, you think it's funny, and then you're gonna like backtrack when you get called out. It's like, if you have the ball, like I said, you have the balls to put it out there, own up to it.
Just like if you do anything wrong, if you do anything wrong, you should have, if you put it out there, you should, like you said, have the balls to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, that wasn't cool of me.
Exactly. And I'm sick of the internet, like them claiming the internet, it doesn't die type of thing. Like, your thumbprint lasts forever on the internet, but it only applies to certain people apparently, because I say one thing and I'm banned. I shared that Chris Brown said this stuff to me, and I got a warning because what I said supposedly was inciting violence. And I don't know if these are bots or people that are, unable to read or whatever. I didn't say anything. I wasn't the one that said I was going to his house with the strobe light. Right. He said he was coming to my house, and they're like, oh, well, we're going to have to remove this because it's violent. Then do something to him.
Where were those people when in the DMs, and this is violent for anyone listening who doesn't want to hear this, somebody said that they were going to come to your house and stab you in the nerve to cause a seizure? Where were those people saying this is wrong? Mm-hmm. Because when we reported that, they didn't go against any guidelines.
No, exactly. And it's like, and everyone's like, oh, you should have taken it to the cops. I did take it to the cops. Unfortunately, the internet is a separate world than the physical world. So unless the moron shows up at my house, which we know he won't, they can't do anything. But it's documented that he did say something.
I reached out to the Epilepsy Foundation social media people. They said they reached out to Instagram. So yeah, I think that they actually got back to me and said that Instagram said that they couldn't find those accounts or something like that.
They always have an excuse for why they can't do anything. But you go against the political grain agenda of the week and you get banned, your followers go down, nobody can find your accounts, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what is the intent of social media really though? Because I'm starting to not believe it. It's like social media is supposed to be, a place for people to connect. It's starting to just divide people. So I don't understand what's going on. And, people were like, oh, you're clout chasing. I do not care what people think about me thinking.
I know that
for this. I'm like, yeah, no. Like, if anything, I'm excited that my dude Tony Starr, excuse me, responded on my account because I'm obsessed with him. And I couldn't care less if Chris Brown was still alive. Honestly, like, this is really not the thing I wanted to. I'm like, I don't care. I will pay a lot of people to find 3 pictures of me on the internet. See how much I don't care to be on there. Like, I really don't. This is about epilepsy. And this is about the principle of the thing that you can make fun of epilepsy, but you cross the line into some other subject, you can't. And I'm sick
And
of that.
that's so many people don't realize that. Like, I'll say so and so made fun of a seizure, and they'll be like, and these are people that I'm close to and they get it, but sometimes they're like, okay, like, why are you offended sometimes? But then I'll be like, so and so said this, and I'm like, that's horrible. And I'm like, what's the difference?
Yeah, it's like, why do you get put on a pedestal? Like, how much are you getting to have your disability or your minority, and how much am I not getting? Like, I'll pull the card right here. I'm a disabled Jewish woman. Okay, let's play this card here. I don't get anything for it. I get crapped on because I stand up for myself, is what I get for it, actually. So was I blessed with the wrong, inadequacies of the world? I don't understand what's going on here, but I'm very sick of it. And everyone's like, well, stand up for yourself. I do. And then the world comes and is like, well, you're too sensitive, get over it, oh my god, just try to live your life. Okay, well, I can't live my life because I have seizures 24/7, so we're going back in a damn circle here.
And not only do you stand up for yourself, but you stand up for other people who feel like they can't say anything. I get messages all the time from people, how do I tell my loved one, or not my loved one, they would know, but like, I'm going on a date, how do I tell them that I have epilepsy? How do I, talk to my friends about it? And what I do, I always just, it's one of the first things I bring up, because I'm like, you know what, if I'm going to get hurt because I have it, I'd rather just have it happen in the beginning and get it over with.
Exactly. It's like I've said,
I
with
know
my
people try to, postpone it. They're going to find out eventually anyway.
They are. And it's like, would you rather, like, that's what my my psychiatrist was telling me about. He's like, you need this, like, have you ever heard of the boiling frogs thing? And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, boiling frogs? And he is like, if you put frogs in hot water right away, they'll jump out. He's like, but if you put it in and turn it up slowly, they're not going to. I'm like, that's a great reference. So with epilepsy, if you start it off like that and start talking about it right away and let them become accustomed to it, rather than have a massive seizure like that and scare them, run them out the door. Like, you need to let them know about it.
And if you're with that person and your seizures are like where you need emergency help, you'll need emergency medication. You need them to know seizure first aid for a tonic-clonic seizure. You need,
exactly
to recognize what a complex partial focal aware, or what.
Well, it'll change next week, don't worry.
Yeah.
It's just,
if you need them to know what your seizures look like and what to do when you have them, you need to get them accustomed to the fact that you have.
But while we're trying to spread awareness and make it normalized, we have these idiots that think it's funny to make fun of it on social media at the same time, and they go right back into their cave of not wanting to talk about it. And I can't say I blame them, because you have this moron that's gonna, like, not everybody can deal with the backlash and the crap that people give you on social media. Me, I'm like, whatever, but it hurts people that are going through really hard times, or just diagnosed, or trying to come to terms with being diagnosed. And I had so many people message me, this makes me sick to my stomach as someone who has epilepsy, and I don't even want to, like, talk about it anymore because people make fun of me. So I hope you're happy with that hill you die on, Chris Brown, because look what you did,
Not
like,
just
that's
the person who made the video in the first place.
Yeah. And the person that made the video in the first place, and everyone's like, why are you mad, blah, 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 at Chris Brown? Okay, I'm mad because he's a public figure. I'm mad because as an adult, he should know better. He's had a seizure himself. So what's funny about that? And, the way he responded, he could have been a human about it, but no, he decided to call me a bitch, a weird bitch, say I'm spreading my agenda, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay.
If my agenda is spreading awareness, then yes.
My agenda is calling you out for being an asshole, then absolutely, spread away, like, oh my gosh. And I don't know what to do with him, but it's like, I don't care. I'm sure I'm living more rent free in his head than he is in mine. Like, I don't care because I don't have a label that has to keep me on there. He does, but well, maybe I don't know what he does anymore, but it's just the principle of the thing. It's like, it's supposed to be an all-inclusive world in 2022, but only if we agree. And only if you fits the agenda for the week. And that doesn't work for me. It makes people not care about other people's issues. And I know they're not going to, because it's not the same issue they have. Like, my epilepsy means more to me, than someone's schizophrenia, because I don't have it, but that doesn't mean that their schizophrenia isn't an issue,
Right.
or doesn't
I
deserve
sympathize with them over their
Yeah.
schizophrenia, and I would like to learn more about it. It's not what I deal with. Same thing, when I have migraines and stuff, people who don't understand migraines have it in there like, oh, it's just a bad migraine or just a bad headache. I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with, seizures. They think, oh, they don't necessarily put two and two together. Like, you have a bad seizure and it's like, oh, that's one seizure. They don't think about status epilepticus. They don't think about
They
cluster
don't think
seizures.
about
They
the
don't
people
think
that
about
die from it.
like
And
the video of the little boy who rescued his mom from a pool while she was
talk about a
having
10-year-old acting like a 40-year-old instead of a 40-year-old. Isn't that amazing?
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's the thing, it's scary. Of course it's scary. It's something to do with your brain. You have no control over it. And I know a lot of people initial's reaction is to make fun of things they don't understand. I get that. I went to 5th grade. I graduated. I'm 32 now. Okay. So grow up and look into things. I didn't have the internet back when I was a little kid. I have it now. And it's like, oh, wait, I don't understand that. Let me Google it. Always not the best, resourceful, like, place to look up things. They have some funky answers. Let's put it that way. But, uh, you can still attempt to look
You
it
can
up.
look up what is epilepsy, what do I do when someone has a seizure? What is a seizure if you don't know? You
You
can
look
look
up
at
a
these,
seizure, you're like, ooh, I'm not going to make fun of this. This is scary.
you can do that, but yeah. And the same thing, like if I hear about something that I don't understand, one of the first things I do, if it affects somebody that I'm having a conversation with, I want to know more about, they're in my life, I look it up.
Yeah.
And the thing that I always tell people is don't be afraid to ask me questions, because I will answer your questions if it will help you understand more.
Exactly. I'm very open about it. You're very open about it. It gets ugly when you get into the depths of epilepsy. It controls your entire life. It really does. And it's like, or
Not just our lives, but the lives of the people who take
around.
care of us. I can't drive, so when I need my meds delivered to FedEx, we need to set a day that they're delivered the day my fiance's off, so he can drive me to FedEx so I can pick them up, make sure I get my meds on. It's so that involves my mom sending my meds, my fiance driving me. It's
we don't drive, and it's one of those things. But here's the person being like, oh, you can't have a license. It's like, where is it gonna end? It's like, at what point is it like, haha, you're funny, and oh my god, you're just pathetic. It's like, I can take a joke.
when empathy ends.
Yeah, there you go.
That's I've always said,
Empathy
like,
turns into like
when you
pathetic.
can no
Like,
longer be empathetic about anything. Like
when
if
you
I
become
post
pathetic.
something and somebody says, hey, that's not cool, I will immediately put myself in their shoes and say,
Yeah.
can you educate me? What did I do wrong?
And it's like, I make memes
Fix
daily.
it. And I've done that with posts before. I'll
Yeah.
put a comment, at the top. I'll pin it if somebody tells me that I was wrong about something, and I'll be like, thank you for telling me this.
Yeah.
And then you have people who just make fun of everything and are like, why did you do this? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
And it's like, and their only defense is you're sensitive and you're a Karen. Okay, so I'm not. And so what do you have next? It's like, I'm not sensitive.
For people calling Bree sensitive, you should see what she texts me daily.
Yeah. Yeah, actually you shouldn't. Yeah, I'd lose a lot of people in my
You
team.
shouldn't, but I'm just saying. I can tell you.
No, it's like, I'm sure you can tell by my memes. I'm not a very quiet person, but it's like one of those things where it's like, I don't get, why is this not sensitive? No, I'm personally not sensitive, but I can guarantee that poor mother and father that just lost their son to a seizure last week, probably a little bit sensitive about this. and it's like they don't want to say something because they're grieving for their kid. So here I am.
They
I'm like,
shouldn't be the ones who have to say something at this moment. They need
no,
their time.
exactly. And it's like, I'm like, oh, hell no. And that pisses me off to see someone thinking this is funny. And then in the same breath, I'm trying to get my governor to sign something so that children can go to school safely when they have seizures. You know what I mean? It's like,
It's crazy that things like that take so long, because I remember when Maryland was doing that, and it started like 2 years ago. They started it, and I messaged like everyone in my district. I was like, I told them my backstory, like my seizures may have been identified earlier if teachers knew what to do. Like when I was working in the school system, I felt worried about what would happen with my coworkers if I had one and they didn't know, like all of these things. And I told, all of this, and luckily it passed. Like everyone who voted yes. Which is really cool to see, because that very
It's
rarely
just
happens.
amazing. It needs to be voted on, honestly.
Right. You would think like pass this law so that kids with seizures can safely go to school.
It's like, isn't that in our constitution? All right, never mind. But it's like everyone has the right to free education. It's a little funky the times we live in, because you can't say certain things, but certain disabilities are up for, punching bags. Like, so how are we supposed to be supportive of other people when people don't have our backs? And it's, oh, that's selfish. Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be selfish because nobody else is going to care about me. I'm going to do it. So
I've definitely, since my diagnosis, I say that I've come out of my shell. Like I used to be so quiet, and now I just don't care, because I'm like, the people who are going to be there for me need to know my story in order to do that. And it sucks that on social media, me sharing my story can become a way for people to target me, make fun of me, try and kill me. Like I had somebody literally say in a DM, I wasn't trying to kill you. And I said, but that strobe light could have caused, or that, GIF could have caused a seizure. And she was like, my friend just told me to send it to you. I was like, would you jump up? Like basically,
if your friend said shoot yourself in the head, would you do it too? Like, I don't understand.
I didn't know you had epilepsy until I read your bio, and then my friend said to send this to you. I was like,
and I will never get that thing. Why is it funny? Someone with lung cancer, do you send them pictures of, cigarettes and the iron lung? Do you send somebody like breast cancer, bald heads? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I will never get that. And it's like I said, I have very dark humor. Okay. Dave Chappelle is one of my favorite people to watch in my spare time. I love that man. So I get it. But so there's a point where you're like, oh, that's kind of dark. And there's a point where I'm like, you really just went there? Like, that's not even funny anymore. Like, you really just went there.
me, it's when you start attacking people for something that they cannot control is the line. And for some reason, epilepsy is just always, because of, like you said, the stigma and the way it's shown in media, it's become, let's make this the fun, let's make this the thing to make fun of.
Yeah.
No,
and I feel like
doing that. In my eyes, you are pathetic for thinking that
you're
that's
disgusting. Yeah. And I don't know where we failed. I don't know if it's the people that were advocates before us, because look how, bolstered autism is. Like cancer has their awareness. What's going on with epilepsy then?
My mom told me, I remember she used to do like the Heart Association, like galas or whatever in Baltimore. They would raise over $1 million in one night. And then we were doing the national epilepsy walks, and the walk for the entire nation over months would get $750,000. And they'd be like, that's so much more than last year. And I'm like, excuse me.
And it's one of those things where it's like epilepsy can happen to anybody, seizures can happen to anybody, but not everybody cares. And it's mind-blowing.
Very few people care unless it affects you or someone that you care about.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, but all these other issues you're trying to get me to care about and vote on, they don't affect me either, and I don't care. So, but I have to. type of thing, and just I don't have to, but you know what I mean. Like
I care in the sense that, like I was saying, like empathetically, I put myself in somebody else's shoes and I say, if I were a person dealing with this, how would I want people to come about it? But with epilepsy, that doesn't happen. It's brushed under the rug by anyone who doesn't deal with it. And
exactly.
that's where social media needs to at least treat people who I almost said ATAC. That's who attack
ATAC. Sounds like a rap name.
ATAC people with seizures. They need to treat them, those people, those, as you say, scum, the same way they would treat anyone who attacks anyone else for something.
And they go after people for much less, so there's absolutely no excuse for it in today's day. Much
So
less.
again, anyone in the comments, if you have any suggestions,
if you have any, again, I will be I am down to drag this man's name through the mud until he stops breathing. I'm sorry, like what he did was unacceptable. It's like he's not going to be my main focus, but I'm just saying, like, if it comes up again, share it. I don't care, because what he did was unacceptable. If the shoe was on the other foot and you made fun of him, I guarantee you'd be dragged through the mud and something would be done and you'd be sued and something like that. It's just ridiculous, the standards that this man has, because he makes X amount of money.
and not even just him, but anybody in media who sees, we don't know what to do, so let's just, and not a seizure where somebody's properly treating it. That's completely different. Like Grey's Anatomy, we're not talking about that, where somebody has a seizure and they identify
They need to
it.
get better, but they're not the issue in this post.
We're
No.
talking about people who see seizures as a way to get a laugh, as a way to fill in time with, what's going to make people laugh. Oh, this. Okay.
It's like, why are you laughing at a seizure though? Like, that is something I will never get. I'm like, what is funny?
Even before my diagnosis, I remember thinking, like, I'm glad I don't have epilepsy. That sounds terrible. Little did I know, but I remember thinking, like, that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I've had to completely re-alter my life as someone with 2 master's degrees because of my epilepsy. I'm 32. I have to live with my mother still for current, because, everything's expensive too. I don't drive. I don't want your sympathy. I want your damn respect. There's a difference between that.
It's so hard opening up these conversations when you're talking to somebody new, because, oh, what do you do for work? Well, oh, I teach. Well, where do you teach? Online. And then I get this kind of look.
In my bed?
Yeah. Like I tutor kids, who need help. And then it's kind of like, well, that's not teaching. You kind of get this, like, that's tutoring. And
the judgment is like, oh, well, you don't want to go into a classroom.
I don't. When you tell people you don't drive, it's immediately like DUI. Oh, no, I also don't drink. Well, you're no fun.
Exactly. Or I was like, you don't drink at 32? No, I don't. I don't do a lot of things at 32. I've gotten very lazy, but like
I mean, and I say this, like, alcohol is one of my triggers, but it's one that I've talked with my doctor about, and again, this is something you bring up individually to your doctor, but I've talked with her about how every once in a while, the day I got, we told my parents I got engaged at my wedding, like, a glass of champagne is not going to kill me.
I just hate the way it tastes.
It's if I sit there and I take 3 shots and maybe like 4 beers and sit there like, oh, I'm okay. No.
But it's one of those things, and it's like, I'm not going to try to tell you what to do with your epilepsy either, but it's like, I am going to, and I can't speak on behalf of everybody, but I can speak on behalf of, this pissed a lot of people off. And this is one of the things where, like I said, they follow me and I make memes every single day.
I will say, I took that opportunity when you shared that to make a reel about all of those lovely messages that we got, and people were sharing it like, this is disgusting. And I obviously don't have the followers that you have, so it didn't get as much.
Blessing and a curse, don't worry.
I don't care, but it was just,
no, I love them all. I'm just joking.
More than normal. I had reposted that and people like
that one was not, yeah. And like I said, I've dealt with, I have people in my inbox almost every day that I'm just like, all right, whatever, idiot. That one crossed the line. That one was not okay. And his response is what really pissed me off. I fully expected him to just ignore that. I would have been fine with him just ignoring that, because apparently he has less to do than answer the little epilepsy community on the world, but whatever. And I just, I just hope that no one else follows in this man's shoes or the two man's shoes, whatever, and their
I hope
fan
social media figures out a way to deal with people who.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to cause, but I can tell you right now, social media, I won't shut the hell up about it until you do something. So you can either deal with me and her and our community, or you can do something about it. And I have a feeling we're going to be talking for a long time because nothing has been done thus far.
I mean, even if it's just continuing to share awareness, be like, we are here and we matter.
Exactly. And it's like, and not just in November or March, because March is Canadian Epilepsy Awareness Month.
And UK, I think. Yeah.
Yes, I can't keep track. So many, whatever, we get two and still see we don't have the awareness we should.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but we know, and I'm not trying to be resentful, but we know October, the NFL is going to go pink. So, and hockey, I think they're purple in the same month, but it's like, when's our turn, and when's our turn to get respected.
And especially talking about sports, like so many people in contact sports ended up with epilepsy from traumatic brain injuries.
Yeah.
And that, again, I don't know if they don't want to admit this happens with their sport.
But CTE is a big thing, and we know that. So,
but it is completely brushed under the rug.
It is. And it's like, I don't know if that makes people not wouldn't want to play. I highly doubt that with what you get paid in the NFL, but you get to punch a grown man for a living, essentially. It's just, they need to be honest about it, because you get scrambled eggs for brains if you play football long enough and you get enough contact. You know what I mean? It's like, you'd think they'd be the biggest proponent of epilepsy awareness. I'm just saying, hockey does better. They have epilepsy clinics. Hockey does better. And I'm like, they're not supposed to. I know they do, but they're not supposed to go run into each other like they do. So I don't know what it's going to take. I don't expect much to come from this, except for the fact that it woke people up.
And honestly, that's a start.
That's a start. And it's like, and I can tell you right now, you won't get rid of me. So good luck. You can keep pissing me off. I have a big mouth and I'm good at it. But and I have the followers to back it up, and the good friends and the family members and the loved ones to help me support it, because this isn't okay. And I'm sick of playing that I walk on eggshells for everybody else but people with epilepsy. I don't play that game. So until I get the eggshells thrown under your feet, I'm not going to walk on eggshells either. I'm done with it.
Well, thank you for being such a big advocate for, like I said, not only yourself, but you were the first epilepsy page I followed. I searched hashtag epilepsy and I found your page and I was like, ooh, and who would have thought that we would have become friends? But
well, I mean, we didn't have a choice. I mean, we did afterwards, but you know what I mean.
We were thrown into help. How do I report this to the police?
Oh my gosh, it's just, and one of those things, I know I'm more brutally honest than a lot of people, and I don't have a filter, but you know what? At least someone meet me halfway with defending us with this no filter thing, because I'm like, this isn't okay. And I'm not and like I said, we're not just being sensitive. If anybody's like, you're just being sensitive, they're wrong. That has nothing to do with it. You're sensitive if someone's like, oh, you know what, you have epilepsy. Yes, you do. It's like, you need to accept it, but you can't hide it, but then try to defend it at the same time, is what I'm trying to say. So
Bree and I get pissed off because for both of us, it's hard to offend us.
Yeah.
My stomach just made a really loud noise. If you heard that, I'm sorry.
I did. I thought there was a dog in the room.
No, unfortunately, there's no dog here.
Right. I looked at Juju. I was like, what's wrong with my puppy?
But neither of us are that sensitive. And I can tell you, if we both are upset about something, it's because I'm looking at how is this going to affect other people with epilepsy, and how people react to them, because I'm lucky to have people in my corner.
Yeah.
Not
everybody has that. So we are their corner.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me sad to say it. And then it's like, people go to alternative things like social media, movies, shows, music to feel inclusive.
The music that feels inclusive for us is, calling narcolepsy epilepsy.
Exactly. I mean, no offense, Nicki Minaj, you're not my thing, but you know what I mean? Like, your perfume smells great, but I'm not down. for your music's not my thing. But exactly, it's just like, come on, like, do better. It's 2022, do better. Like, I don't even have any other words besides that.
I think that's a good way to end, is do better. If you don't have epilepsy and you're listening and you know somebody in the community, do better to help those in the community.
And you know what, if someone does, give you a hard time,
Send them Bree's way. She'll just yell.
Yeah, it's either stick up for yourself or send them my way. I have plenty of time on my hands. I got some good guy friends behind my ass too, so we're good. So yes, I just wanted to address this because this has been kind of in limbo for the last couple of days. The foundations are looking into it. I don't know for sure what's going to happen, but this will not, just be swept under the rug, because the foundations are not happy about this, and they have the connects that we don't have. And they have the patience that I don't have, because I'd be blowing up and cussing his head off. So, oops. But yeah, I think we can wrap this one up. This was our Chris Brown episode about me being his best friend. He's my biggest fan and all that stuff. And I just really hope one of these days epilepsy won't be a trending search on social media to make fun of. I really hope we get to that point.
It should be to learn, not to.
It's exactly. It's like, but we can only hope. And thanks for tuning into this, and everyone that reshared and had my back on that, and that lovely fiasco. Let's hope we don't have to do that again, Yeah. I wanted to work in the music industry when I got my my bachelor's degree, but this is not how I wanted to do it. So
maybe you could do it like reading through lyrics and then just telling people when they're wrong. You'd be really good at that.
Oh, I know. I'm good, especially being the English major too.
Found your new career, Bree. They could just send it to you and you could read it from your bed.
There we go. Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks for listening to us. Please do not go attack Chris Brown. He's not worth your mental sanity. If or that C Nova fool, they're not worth it. They don't care. They're soulless, spoiled little brats. They don't care. So you know what?
And that's the issue, is the people that do the harm don't care when you try to educate. And that's they cared. If they had empathy for this, they wouldn't be doing it in the first place. They're not.
Exactly. So I hope, because I've already been warned once that I'm insurrection over here. It's not a call to action or violent. They're not worth your time. If anything, we should all buy tickets to Chris Brown's show and dance out there for him. Let's have some fun for him. But anyway, I don't want to spend money on that man. But I think we can definitely wrap it up. So now that I covered that we don't go, fight Chris Brown.
We're not telling anybody to go after anyone. It's just,
I will challenge people to tell me 5 songs of his that they know, though. I will say that. Because I don't. So yes, stay tuned for our next one. Allie's going to be back with us, and we are going to talk about how to make it through your first epilepsy appointment successfully, more easily and less stressfully. So we will see you on that one. I know we've been taking a time off, but hey, we're back, even though it's not for the most fun reasons. So yep. Thanks for listening to us.
Thank you.
I think, we'll see you next time.